All right, welcome to Husker Storm Blog. This is going to be a video. We're going to look back at Nebraska's first year in the Big Ten and talk a little bit about what the future holds. And definitely look at the Capital One Bowl. So Nebraska played South Carolina in the Capital One Bowl. And, Nebraska was up 13-9, and they're moving downfield. It was about like a 3rd and 12 or so, I believe. And they decided to spread it out 5 wide and have Taylor Martinez pass the ball. They're in field goal range. You kick a field goal here. You give South Carolina the ball with about 1:30 left. They got 3 timeouts. You're going to have a touchdown lead in. You get the ball at halftime. And they decided to pass it there. And I wanted them to run some kind of quarterback draw, set Maher up with an easy field goal, about a 45-yarder, right down the middle of the field, run a draw with Rex Burkhead or Taylor Martinez, something simple that if you do get the first down, then you get it. Don't try to press. And they tried to press. Taylor Martinez threw a bad ball right to Stephon Gilmore. And then South Carolina started to take some momentum, and they threw up a Hail Mary. And there again, you see a lack of execution by Nebraska. It's annoying, it pisses you off. It seems like whenever there's a deep ball in the air, you got to freaking close your eyes because, crap, that ball's probably going to be caught. These cornerbacks don't know how to play the ball. I don't know what it is. You saw it in the Michigan game twice. I saw it against Wisconsin. Saw it against Ohio State. You saw it right there on the Hail Mary. Knock the damn ball down. Don't let that 6'4" Alshon Jeffrey get the ball. And then once he gets the ball, tackle him. God. And so Nebraska ends up going down going into halftime. And they could have been easily up. They had Amir Abdullah driving downfield. They decided to pull Rex Burkhead when they're on the 10-yard line, and Amir Abdullah gets hit. It was a nice hit. But come on, let's hold into the ball, boys. We're in the red zone. You need to have 2 hands on the ball. And you need to have your best guy on the field. Rex Burkhead needs to be on the field in the red zone. There's no question about it. That right there, that changed the game. You pretty much served it up on a dish right there by throwing that interception within the 25 and fumbling it in the red zone. You easily get 10 points there, potentially 6 points. So, you get 6 points right there. It's 19-16 even if they get the Hail Mary going into halftime. And if you get a touchdown there, you got 23 to 16 if they get the Hail Mary. And then you start off the half, you're driving the ball, you're playing good. Taylor Martinez breaks a good run, a 30-yard run down to the 5-yard line, a nice play call and a new formation I haven't seen. And it was a great play call. And then you're 1st and goal on the 5-yard line, and you line up in the I form and you do a rollout. And look at Barney Cotton's offensive line fails. What a freaking surprise. He's got a whole lot of damn talent. He had one of the best offensive lines to work with last year. He's going to have one of the best offensive lines for the next 3 years to work with. And if that idiot, he's an idiot. Let's face it. He's coaching to get his kids in school for free. Not because he can freaking coach and not because his kids can play. They run a stupid roll out there instead of pounding the run, which South Carolina couldn't stop. And then you drop 12 yards there because the guy comes off the end unblocked. Not Taylor Martinez's fault. There's nothing he can do there. And look at that. You're on 2nd and goal from the 17. And then you miss a field goal. Okay, I'm not going to get on Brett Maher for missing a field goal. It's his first miss within 50 yards. So, he's going to miss at some point in time. But you got to score touchdowns. Good teams score touchdowns, and your opponent is going to score touchdowns on you. Now, the defense, they played well against the run, okay? It is yet again, they got beat on deep passes. Now, Alfonso Denard got beat once. I called it. He was going to get beat at one point in time. You can't hold a good receiver down. But Nebraska did one thing good in this game defensively. They held South Carolina to 4 for 13 on third downs. They had been struggling on third downs, especially with dual threat quarterbacks. They played pretty well. Now, they didn't force a single turnover in this game, and they had 2 of their own. The defense, this whole cover 2, rarely blitz, let the defensive line do the work, is a bunch of crap. It's not working, Bo. I don't know if you can't see it or if you're damn blind, but this worked when you had Prince Amukamara and Alfonso Denard as your cornerbacks and 2 really good safeties, not Austin Cassidy. And you had Ndamukong Suh and Jared Crick on the defensive line. Yeah, it worked. But you don't have those 2 on the defensive line right now. You don't have the secondary that you had before. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, for the first quarter and a half, the coverage by the secondary was flawless. It was perfect. But South Carolina had a drive where they ran the ball and got a touchdown. Finally, after I think they had to go for it on 4th down and goal. And they had like 3 tries from the 1-yard line. There was a pretty good defensive stand there. But the defensive line was playing a terrible offensive line. South Carolina is terrible on offensive line. Their offensive line was terrible. They allowed a lot of sacks, a lot of tackles for loss, and the defensive line could get no penetration. I saw South Carolina fans posting how great their offensive line played. They were amazed at how well they played. Well, guess what? You're playing a freaking terrible defensive line and a defensive coordinator that needs to get after it. You need to get after the quarterback. Yeah, I know it's a dual threat quarterback. You had, I think, 4 sacks in the first half. A lot of those were coverage sacks. But you need to get after the quarterback, Bo. I know your philosophy, but you don't have the greatest cornerbacks to work with, and you're not going to have the greatest cornerbacks to work with next year. So that was really disappointing. We pretty much served them the game on the dish, especially in the third quarter after a good drive all the way downfield, missed a field goal, and then the next 2 drives you come out, you penalize yourself on 4 times, running only 6 plays. You gained yards on that drive, but you gained about, the first down. Taylor Martinez had like a 10-yard run. You gained about, 25 yards, but you lost about 30 because of penalties. It's a typical Bo team. If you look at the losses last year, this year, and even the year before in 2009, it was typical. Yeah, penalties, and you had turnovers. It's typical. Bo, your team feeds off of your energy, and when you get all pissed off and you're all mad on the sidelines, we're feeding off that. The offensive line, come on, buddy. You say that you can't do anything, that the players just need to execute. Obviously, you're doing something wrong, and your offensive line coach is a piece of crap because you false start and hold. You have so many penalties that are just inexcusable. Now, there was one defensive pass interference that ended up giving South Carolina a first down on a 3rd down. That was BS. He had his hand on his shirt, and the freaking running back quit running. The ball was probably not going to be caught, but the running back quit running, acting like he was getting held, and some dumbass referee called the penalty. Okay, now that doesn't change the game, doesn't change the fact that twice on a 3rd down, you allowed him to scramble, on a 4th down, you allowed him to scramble and give your offense no opportunity to come back and allowed them to get a touchdown. This was the issue with the Nebraska team. Against Wisconsin, they came out really good in the first quarter. First quarter and a half, they looked like the better team. And then they started stressing. They got out of their game plan. And guess what happened? Wisconsin went into halftime with a two possession lead, 2 touchdown lead. They're up by 13. And then the Michigan game. Now that game, you were hanging in there with Michigan even though you weren't playing super great in the first half. But then you come out in the second half and you turn the ball over on all things special teams and give them the ball within the 33 times. When Nebraska loses under Pelini, they lose because of penalties and turnovers. In all their losses this year, they had 2 or more turnovers and quite a bit of penalties. Yeah, this team's young, but there's no excuse. You're in a bowl game. You're in a bowl game. That means Your team is playing their 13th game of the year, and you just went 9-4. You went backwards, Bo. I know it's a new conference. I know you got to dial up a new defensive scheme and junk. But you got 2 years. You got 2 years from me. Next year, there's no reason why you shouldn't get 10 wins. In the following year, there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing in the Big Ten Championship. You replace Ohio State and Wisconsin with Purdue and Illinois. And unless somehow those teams become powerhouses in the next 2 years, you should beat them. I don't care where you're playing them at. And you're going to have your best offense next year that you've ever had under Pelini. The best offensive line, the best receiving core, the best running back crew, and the best quarterback. All right? And now the defense is going to be, it's still going to be young in areas, and it's still going to need to replace stars. The next year is when your defense is going to get better in the secondary because those guys are going to be coming back. You're going to have those cornerbacks that are seniors. Linebackers are going to be better, but you got to start refueling that defensive line because you're going to lose a lot of defensive linemen next year. If you want to blame this game on Taylor Martinez, go ahead, but you're an idiot. Taylor Martinez played pretty well, despite 2 passes that were one that he threw up to Kenny Bell in the double coverage was a bad decision and his interception. Otherwise, there was 4 drops. Now, the one he threw to Kyler Reed was behind him slightly, but Kyler Reed, make a play for your quarterback, damn it. And how about this? Kenny Bell? He played a good game. He had that touchdown catch. He was solid. But guess what? Brandon Kinney dropped a pass. Yeah, I know you got crushed, buddy, but hold on to the ball. I can't wait until you graduate. And Tim Marlowe? Come on, let's go. You're wide open in the middle of the field. Help your quarterback out a little bit. Just a little bit, guys. I mean, this is a typical Bo Pelini team. They beat themselves. And it's because the coach gets frustrated. And they feed off of him. And when he's frustrated, they get frustrated. They get penalized. They turn the ball over. They drop passes. Concentrate. Let's go. I mean, it's simple stuff like that Pelini can fix. And if he can fix it, this team might be playing in the Rose Bowl next year. But Pelini has yet to fix it. Last year in the Big 12, there were some penalties that were questionable. No question about it. I think the Big 12 officiating crew that we had in the Texas A&M game, and I think we had them in 3 games. We were highly penalized in all those games, and we lost 2 of them. They were a bad officiating crew. There's no question about that. But it's not the officials. I'm sorry. It's not the officials. We can blame them for the Michigan game, whatever. But turnovers and we're penalized. We're a highly penalized team. We play undisciplined. There's no question about it. Now, regarding what Pelini said in the press conference saying he was a better team, go ahead, say that, man. I believe you're the better team. You were just as talented as them, if not more talented. And you were showing it in the first half. But the better team executes. They don't turn the ball over in the red zone. They don't miss field goals. They don't have poor play calls on defense. A 3rd and 18, Bo, and you engage 7. You bring 7 guys. And you drop 4 in man coverage. And they beat you on a 3rd and 18. Come on, you just freaking bring 3. Just bring 3. That's all you need to do is bring 3. Force Connor Shaw to make a throw. He's not going to scramble for 18 yards in the first down. Force them to kick the field goal. But no, Pelini, you let them get the touchdown because you made a terrible play call. There were some bad play calls on offense, too. 1st and goal on the 5, like I already said, that PA. The PA rollout that failed and the offensive line didn't execute. Inconsistency on the offensive line. If there's been anything that has been the issue in Nebraska's last 2 years, is the inconsistency on the offensive line. Sometimes they look like the best offensive line in the country. Sometimes they look like the worst offensive line in the country. Now, I like Bo Pelini a lot, but back-to-back bowl losses and stumbling at the end of the year is unacceptable. He's got 2 years from me, and we'll talk about that in a different video, but the Capital One Bowl was definitely a disappointment. Offense looked good in the first half. Defense looked good in the first half, besides the Hail Mary. Thanks for watching.